How about now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? There we go. Perfect. All right, let's start over. Greetings. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. Ashe to the Order of the Unicorn. Ashe to the Order of the Phoenix. Today we are reading The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Welcome everybody in the chat. Hope you guys enjoy this quarantine evening. Chapter 1, Laying Plans. Sun Tzu said, "The art of war is of vital importance to the state. It is a matter of life and death, a road either to safety or to ruin. Hence, it is a subject of inquiry which can on no account be neglected. The art of war, then, is governed by 5 constant factors to be taken into account in one's deliberations when seeking to determine the conditions obtaining in the field. These are 1. The moral law, 2. Heaven, 3. Earth, 4. The commander, 5. Method and discipline. The moral law causes the people to be in complete accord with their ruler, so that they will follow him regardless of their lives, undismayed by any danger. Heaven signifies night and day, cold and heat, times and seasons. Earth comprises distances, great and small, danger and security, open ground and narrow passes, the chances of life and death. The commander stands for virtues of wisdom, sincerity, benevolence, courage, and strictness. By method and discipline are to be understood the marshalling of the army and its proper subdivisions, the graduations of rank among the officers, the maintenance of roads by which supplies may reach the army, and the control of military expenditure. These 5 heads should be familiar to every general. He who knows them will be victorious. He who knows them not will fail. Therefore, in your deliberations, when seeking to determine the military conditions, let them be made the basis of a comparison in this wise. 1. Which of the 2 sovereigns is imbued with the moral law? 2. Which of the 2 generals has the most ability? 3. With whom lie the advantages derived from heaven and earth? 4. On which side is discipline most rigorously enforced? 5. Which army is stronger? 6. On which side are officers and men more highly trained? 7. In which army is there the greater constancy, both in reward and punishment? Definitely something I would go back and look at. By means of these 7 considerations, I can forecast victory or defeat. The general that hearkens to my counsel and acts upon it will conquer. Let such a one be retained in command. The general that hearkens not to my counsel nor acts upon it will suffer defeat. Let such a one be dismissed. While heading the profit of my counsel, avail yourself also of any helpful circumstances over and beyond the ordinary rules. According as circumstances are favorable, one should modify one's plans. All warfare is based on deception. Hence, when able to attack, we must seem unable. When using our forces, we must seem inactive. When we are near, we must make the enemy believe we are far away. When far away, we must make him believe we are near. Definitely. Hold out baits to entice the enemy. Feign disorder and crush him. If he is secure at all points, be prepared for him. If he is in superior strength, evade him. If your opponent is of choleric temper, seek to irritate him. Pretend to be weak, that he may grow arrogant. If he is taking his ease, give him no rest. If his forces are united, separate them. Attack him where he is unprepared. Appear where you are not expected. These military devices leading to victory must not be divulged beforehand. Good stuff. Now the general who wins a battle makes many calculations in his temple ere the battle is fought. The general who loses a battle makes but few calculations beforehand. Thus, Do many calculations lead to victory, and few calculations defeat? How much more, no calculation at all? It is by attention to this point that I can foresee who is likely to win or lose. Awesome, awesome. I have a feeling I'm probably going to highlight a lot of this book. This is what I do. So when I go back, I can kind of just like skim through it, you know what I mean? Okay, number 2. Waging war. Sun Tzu said, in the operations of war, where there are in the field 1,000 swift chariots, as many heavy chariots, and 100,000 mail-clad soldiers, with provisions enough to carry them 1,000 li, the expenditure at home and at front, including entertainment of guests, small items such as glue and paint, and sums spent on chariots and armor, will reach the total of 1,000 ounces of silver a day. Such is the cost of raising an army of 100,000 men. When you engage in actual fighting, if victory is long in coming, then men's weapons will grow dull and their ardor will be damped. If you lay siege to a town, you will exhaust your strength. Again, if the campaign is protracted, the resources of the state will not be equal to the strain. Now, when your weapons are dulled, your ardor damped, your strength exhausted, and your treasure spent, other chieftains will spring up to take advantage of your extremity. Then, no man, however wise, will be able to avert the consequences that must ensue. Thus, though we have heard of stupid haste in war, cleverness has never been seen associated with long delays. There is no instance of a country having benefited from prolonged warfare. Key point. It is only one who is thoroughly acquainted with the evils of war that can thoroughly understand the profitable way of carrying it on. The skillful soldier does not raise a second levy, neither are his supply wagons loaded more than twice. Bring war material with you from home, but forage on the enemy. Thus the army will have food enough for its needs. Poverty of the state exequer. I've never seen that word before. Exchequer. Poverty of the state executor causes an army to be maintained by contributions from a distance. Contributing to maintain an army at a distance causes the people to be impoverished. On the other hand, the proximity of an army causes prices to go up, and high prices cause the people's substance to be drained away. When their substance is drained away, the peasantry will be afflicted by heavy exactions. With this loss of substance and exhaustion of strength, the homes of people will be stripped bare, and 3/10 of their income will be dissipated, while government expenses for broken chariots, worn-out horses, breastplates and helmets, bows and arrows, spears and shields, protective mantles, draught oxen, and heavy wagons will amount to 4/10 of its total revenue. Hence, a wise general makes a point of foraging on the enemy. 1 cartload of the enemy's provisions is equivalent to 20 of one's own, and likewise, a single pickle of his provender is equivalent to 20 from one's own store. Wise general makes a point of foraging on the enemy. Now, in order to kill the enemy, our men must be roused to anger. That there may be advantage from defeating the enemy, they must have their rewards. Therefore, in chariot fighting, when 10 or more chariots have been taken, those should be rewarded who took the first. Our own flags should be substituted for those of the enemy, and the chariots mingled and used in conjunction with ours. The captured soldiers should be kindly treated and kept. This is called using the conquered foe to augment one's own strength. In war, then, let your great object be victory, not lengthy campaigns. Thus, it may be known to the leader of armies is the arbiter of the people's fate, the man on whom it depends whether the nation shall be in peace or in peril. The leader of armies is the arbiter of the people's fate, the man on whom it depends whether the nation shall be in peace or in peril. You heard about this book 2 hours ago, and now I'm reading it. I'm telling you, man, the synchronicity is off the charts. I'm telling you, man, something's really going on behind the scenes, but we'll figure that out very soon. Peace to everybody in the chat. I'm just reading the comments here. What's good? What's good, Garrity Hoodrich? What's good, Benjamin Cole? What's good, Kenna? Yardman Cristal 1111. Peace, peace. How's that cat orgy looking in the backyard, my man? Wayne Rios. Greetings, buddy. Bunny Queen. How you doing? 305 Capricorn. I see you every time. Hecate Goddess. How you doing? Alan Goo. Greetings. All right. Let's get back to chapter 3 here. Attack by stratagem. They match. Check it out. Sun Tzu said, "In the practical art of war, the best thing of all is to take the enemy's country whole and intact. To shatter and destroy it is not so good. So too, it is better to recapture an army entire than to destroy it. To capture a regiment, a detachment, or a company entire than to destroy them." Hence, to fight and conquer in all your battles is not supreme excellence. Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. Thus, the highest form of generalship is to balk the enemy's plans. The next best is to prevent the junction of the enemy's forces. The next in order is to attack the enemy's army in the field. And the worst policy of all is to besiege walled cities. The rule is not to besiege walled cities if it can possibly be avoided. The preparation of mantlets, movable shelters, and various implements of war will take up 3 whole months, and the piling up of mounds over against the walls will take 3 months more. The general, unable to control his irritation, will launch his men to the assault like swarming ants, with the result that 1/3 of his men are slain, while the town still remains untaken. Such are the disastrous effects of a siege. Therefore, the skillful leader subdues the enemy's troops without any fighting. He captures their cities without laying siege to them. He overthrows their kingdom without lengthy operations in the field. Message. With his forces intact, he will dispute the mastery of the empire, and thus, without losing a man, his triumph will be complete. This is the method of attacking by stratagem. It is the rule in war, if our forces are 10 to the army's 1, to surround him. If 5 to 1, to attack him. If twice as numerous, to divide our army into 2. If equally matched, we can offer battle. If slightly inferior in numbers, we can avoid the enemy. If quite unequal in every way, we can flee from him. Hence, though an obstinate fight may be made by a small force, in the end, it must be captured by the larger force. Now, the general is the bulwark of the state. If the bulwark is complete at all points, the state will be strong. If the bulwark is defective, the state will be weak. There are 3 ways in which a ruler can bring misfortune upon his army. 1. By commanding the army to advance or to retreat, being ignorant of the fact that it cannot obey. This is called hobbling the army. 2. By attempting to govern an army in the same way as he administers a kingdom, being ignorant of the conditions which obtain in an army. This causes restlessness in the soldiers' minds. 3. By employing the officers of his army without discrimination, through ignorance of the military principle of adaptation to circumstances. This shakes the confidence of the soldiers. But when the army is restless and distrustful, trouble is sure to come from the other feudal principles. This is simply bringing anarchy into the army and flinging victory away. Thus, we may know that there are 5 essentials for victory. 1. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. 2. He will win who knows how to handle both superior and inferior forces. 3. He will win whose army is animated by the same spirit throughout all his ranks. 4. He will win who prepared himself, waits to take the enemy unprepared. 5. He will win who has military capacity and is not interfered with by the sovereign. Hence the saying, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. Damn. That sounds like a familiar quote that I've seen somewhere. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, please post it in the chat. In other words, if I know you better than you know me, I can influence you. If I know you better than you know yourself, I can control you. All right, let's get to this next chapter. Tactical dispositions. Chapter 4. Sun Tzu said, "The good fighters of old first put themselves beyond the possibility of defeat, and then waited for an opportunity of defeating the enemy. To secure ourselves against defeat lies in our own hands, but the opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy himself. Thus, the good fighter is able to secure himself against defeat, but cannot make certain of defeating the enemy. Hence the saying, one may know how to conquer without being able to do it." Security against defeat implies defensive tactics. Ability to defeat the enemy means taking the offensive. Standing on the defensive indicates insufficient strength, attacking a superabundance of strength. The general who is skilled in defense hides in the most secret recesses of the earth. He who is skilled in attack flashes forth from the topmost heights of heaven. Thus, on the one hand, we have the ability to protect ourselves. On the other, a victory that is complete. I like that part. The general who is skilled in defense hides in the most secret recesses of the earth. He who is skilled in attack flashes forth from the topmost heights of heaven. To see victory only when it is within the ken of the common herd is not the acme of excellence. Neither is the acme of excellence if you fight and conquer and the whole empire says, "Well done." To lift an autumn hair is no sign of great strength. To see the sun and moon is no sign of sharp sight. To hear the noise of thunder is no sign of a quick ear. What the ancients called a clever fighter is one who not only wins, but excels in winning with ease. Hence, his victories bring him neither reputation for wisdom nor credit for courage. He wins his battles by making no mistakes. Making no mistakes is what establishes the certainty of victory, for it means conquering an enemy that is already defeated. Hell yeah. Hence, the skillful fighter puts himself into a position which makes defeat impossible and does not miss the moment for defeating an enemy. Thus, it is that in war, the victorious strategist only seeks battle after the victory has been won, whereas he who is destined to defeat first fights and afterwards looks for victory. This nigga spit. The consummate leader cultivates the moral law and strictly adheres to method and discipline. Thus, it is in his power to control success. In respect of military method, we have, firstly, measurement. Secondly, estimation of quantity. Thirdly, calculation. Fourthly, balancing of chances. Fifthly, victory. Measurement owes its existence to earth. Estimation of quantity to measurement. Calculation to estimate of quantity. Balancing of chances to calculation. And victory to the balancing of chances. Let's see. Measurement owes its existence to earth. Estimation of quantity to measurement. Calculation to the estimate of quantity. Balancing of chances to calculation. And victory to balancing of chances. A victorious army opposed to a routed one is as a pawn's weight placed in the scale against a single grain. The onrush of a conquering force is like the bursting of pent-up waters into a chasm of 1,000 fathoms deep. Hmm. Right on, Ivan.
It's 11 o'clock.
Oh yeah, I noticed a typo in this table of contents. We're actually in chapter 5, which is the army on the march, but it says chapter 9. Interesting. But yeah, chapter 5, the army on the march. I'm loving this book, by the way. Sun Tzu said, "We come now to the question of encamping the army and observing signs of the enemy. Pass quickly over mountains and keep in the neighborhood of valleys. Camp in high places facing the sun. Do not climb heights in order to fight. So much for mountain warfare. After crossing a river, you should get far away from it. When an invading force crosses a river in its onward march, do not advance to meet it in midstream. It will be best to let half the army get across and then deliver your attack. If you're anxious to fight, you should not go to meet the invader near a river which he has to cross. Moor your craft higher up than the enemy and facing the sun. Do not move upstream to meet the enemy. So much for river warfare. In crossing salt marshes, your sole concern should be to get over them quickly without any delay. If forced to fight in a salt marsh, you should have water and grass near you and get your back to a clump of trees. So much for operations in salt marshes. In dry, level country, take up an easily accessible position with rising ground to your right and on your rear, so that the danger may be in front and safety lie behind. So much for campaigning in flat country. These are the 4 useful branches of military knowledge which enabled the Yellow Emperor to vanquish 4 several sovereigns. All armies prefer high ground to low and sunny places to dark. If you are careful of your men and camp on hard ground, the army will be free from disease of every kind, and this will spell victory. When you come to a hill or a bank, occupy the sunny side, with the slope on your right rear. Thus you will at once act for the benefit of your soldiers and utilize the natural advantages of the ground. When, in consequence of heavy rains up country, a river which you wish to ford is swollen and flecked with foam, you must await until it subsides. Country in which there are precipitous cliffs with torrents running between, deep natural hollows, confined places, tangled thickets, quagmires, and crevices should be left with all possible speed and not approached. While we keep away from such places, we should get the enemy to approach them. While we face them, we should let the enemy have them on his rear. If in the neighborhood of your camp there should be any hill country, ponds surrounded by aquatic grass, hollow basins filled with reeds, or woods with thick undergrowth, they must be carefully routed out and searched, for these are places where men in ambush or insidious spies are likely to be lurking. When the enemy is close at hand and remains quiet, he is relying on the natural strength of his position. When he keeps aloof and tries to provoke a battle, he is anxious for the other side to advance. If his place of encampment is easy of access, he is tendering bait. When the enemy is close at hand and remains quiet, he is relying on the natural strength of his position. Gotta keep an eye out for that. When he keeps aloof and tries to provoke a battle, he is anxious of the other side to advance. If his place of encampment is easy of access, he's tendering a bait. Movement amongst the trees of a forest shows that the enemy is advancing. The appearance of a number of screens in the midst of thick grass means that the enemy wants to make us suspicious. Gotta pay attention. Don't take what you see at face value, basically. Ah, you found it. Awesome, Bunny Queen. The rising of birds in their flight is the sign of an ambuscade. Startled beasts indicate that a sudden attack is coming. When there is dust rising in a high column, it is a sign of chariots advancing. When the dust is low, but spread over a wide area, it betokens the approach of infantry. When it branches out in different directions, it shows that parties have been sent to collect firewood. A few clouds of dust moving to and fro signify the army is encamping. Humble words and increased preparations are signs that the enemy is about to advance. Violent language and driving forward as if to the attack are signs that he will retreat. When the light chariots come out first and take up a position on the wings, it is a sign that the enemy is forming for battle. Peace proposals unaccompanied by a sworn covenant indicate a plot. Gotta pay attention. When there is much running about and the soldiers fall into rank, it means that the critical moment has come. When some are seen advancing and some retreating, it is a lure. When the soldiers stand leaning on their spears, they are faint from want of food. If those who are sent to draw water begin by drinking themselves, the army is suffering from thirst. If the enemy sees an advantage to be gained and makes no effort to secure it, the soldiers are exhausted. If the birds gather on any spot, it is unoccupied. Clamor by night betokens nervousness. If there is a disturbance in the camp, the general's authority is weak. If the banners and flags are shifted about, sedition is afoot. If the officers are angry, it means the men are weary. When an army feeds its horses with grain and kills its cattle for food, and when the men do not hang their cooking pots over the campfires, showing that they will not return to their tents, you may know that they are determined to fight to the death. The sight of men whispering together in small knots or speaking in subdued tones points to disaffection amongst the rank and file. Too frequent rewards signify that the enemy is at the end of his resources. Too many punishments betray a condition of dire distress. You can apply this to your job. To begin by bluster, but afterwards to take fright at the enemy's numbers, shows a supreme lack of intelligence. That's funny. To begin by bluster, but afterwards to take fright at the enemy's numbers, shows a supreme lack of intelligence. Being all super dark side, we gods, and then suddenly scared of the coronavirus, right? When envoys are sent with compliments in their mouths, it is a sign that the enemy wishes for a truce. If the enemy's troops march up angrily and remain facing ours for a long time without either joining battle or taking themselves off again, the situation is one that demands great vigilance and circumspection. If our troops are no more in number than the enemy, that is amply sufficient. It only means that no direct attack can be made. What we can do is simply to concentrate all our available strength, keep a close watch on the enemy, and obtain reinforcements. He who exercises no forethought but makes light of his opponents is sure to be captured by them. If soldiers are punished before they have grown attached to you, they will not prove submissive. And unless submissive, then they will be practically useless. If, when the soldiers have become attached to you, punishments are not enforced, they will still be useless. Therefore, soldiers must be treated in the first instance with humanity, but kept under control by means of iron discipline. This is a certain road for victory. Gotta spank them kids when they act up, but you gotta love them first. If in training, soldiers' commands are habitually enforced, the army will be well disciplined. If not, its discipline will be bad. If a general shows confidence in his men, but always insists on his orders being obeyed, the gain will be mutual. All right, so this next chapter is called Energy. How you guys liking this book so far? Interesting. Are you seeing how you can possibly apply some of this to your day-to-day life? I keep thinking about my first-person shooter Apex, and also like the job. Talking about these generals could be seen as your manager, and they never really disclose what's really going on. They just tell you to do stuff and try to keep your spirits high, but you can tell by the way they act what's going on behind the scenes, right? All right, chapter 5, energy. Sun Tzu said, "The control of a large force is the same principle as the control of a few men. It is merely a question of dividing up their numbers." Yeah, the control of a large force is the same principle as the control of a few men. It is merely a question of dividing up their numbers. Fighting with a large army under your command is no wise different from fighting with a small one. It is merely a question of instituting signs and signals. Oh, yeah, now we speak in my language. To ensure that your whole host may withstand the brunt of the enemy's attack and remain unshaken, this is effected by maneuvers, direct and indirect. That the impact of your army may be like a grindstone dashed against an egg, this is affected by the science of weak points and strong. In all fighting, the direct method may be used for joining battle, but indirect methods will be needed in order to secure victory. Gotta be smart. Indirect attacks efficiently applied are inexhaustible as heaven and earth, unending as the flow of rivers and streams, like the sun and moon. They end but to begin anew. Like the four seasons, they pass away to return once more. There are not more than 5 musical notes, yet the combination of these 5 give rise to more melodies than can ever be heard. Pay attention. There are not more than 5 primary colors: blue, yellow, red, white, and black. Yet in combination, they produce more hues than can ever be seen. There are not more than 5 cardinal tastes: sour, acrid, salt, sweet, bitter. Yet combinations of them yield more flavors than can ever be tasted. In battle, there are not more than 2 methods of attack: the direct and the indirect. Yet these two in combination give rise to an endless series of maneuvers. I love this. This is where creativity come in play. The direct and the indirect lead on to each other in turn. It is like moving in a circle. You never come to an end. Who can exhaust the possibilities of their combination? The onset of troops is like the rush of a torrent, which will even roll stones along in its course. The quality of decision is like the well-timed swoop of a falcon, which enables it to strike and destroy its victim. Ooh, the quality of decision is like a well-timed swoop of a falcon, which enables it to strike and destroy its victim. Therefore, the good fighter will be terrible in his onset and prompt in his decision. Energy may be likened to the bending of a crossbow, decision to the releasing of a trigger. Energy is the potential, and your decision to execute is like releasing the trigger. Amid the turmoil and tumult of battle, there may be seeming disorder and yet no real disorder at all. Amid confusion and chaos, your array may be without head or tail, yet it will be proof against defeat. Simulated disorder postulates perfect discipline. Simulated fear postulates courage. Simulated weakness postulates strength. Hiding order beneath the cloak of disorder is simply a question of subdivision. Concealing courage under a show of timidity presupposes a fund of latent energy. Masking strength with weakness is to be effected by tactical dispositions. Thus, one who is skillful at keeping the enemy on the move maintains deceitful appearances, according to which the enemy will act. He sacrifices something that the enemy may snatch at it. By holding out baits, he keeps him on the march. Then, with a body of picked men, he lies in wait for them. The clever combatant looks to the effect of combined energy and does not require too much from individuals. Hence, his ability to pick out the right men and utilize combined energy. When he utilizes combined energy, his fighting men become, as it were, like unto rolling logs or stones. For it is the nature of a log or stone to remain motionless on level ground, and to move when on a slope. If four-cornered, to come to a standstill, but if round-shaped, to go rolling down. Thus, the energy developed by good fighting men is as the momentum of a round stone rolled down a mountain thousands of feet high. So much on the subject of energy. Interesting. Interesting. I agree, Bunny Queen. It's like looking at it like a chess game. The Black Saiyan says I should do this more. I think so. This is kind of cool. It just came to me like an hour before starting this. Maybe I should. It also helps me actually finish the book, And it's a lot better when you finish it, all together as opposed to spread out. Welcome, Angela Andrew. All right, yeah, let's keep going. Weak points and strong. So that should be... Man, this thing is all weird. Weak points and strong. That's not even in my list. That's not even the table of contents. Anyway, let's just continue. Sun Tzu said, "Whoever is first in the field and awaits the coming of the enemy will be fresh for the fight. Whoever is second in the field and has to hasten to battle will arrive exhausted." Therefore, the clever combatant imposes his will on the enemy, but does not allow the enemy's will to be imposed on him. Crucial. Always be leading. Exert your influence, right? By holding out advantages to him, he can cause the enemy to approach on his own accord, or by inflicting damage, he can make it impossible for the enemy to draw near. Gotta control the flow. If the enemy is taking his ease, he can harass him. If well supplied with food, he can starve him out. If quietly encamped, he can enforce him to move. Appear at points which the enemy must hasten to defend. March swiftly to places where you are not expected. Gotta be several steps ahead. An army may march great distances without distress if it marches through country where the enemy is not. You can be sure of succeeding in your attacks if you only attack places which are undefended. You can ensure the safety of your defense if you only hold positions that cannot be attacked. Man, I hope y'all are applying this to your life, or at least thinking of different ways where this would be relevant. Hence, that general is skillful in the attack whose opponent does not know what to defend, and he is skillful in defense whose opponent does not know what to attack. O divine art of subtlety and secrecy! Though through you we learn to be invisible, through you inaudible, and hence we can hold the enemy's fate in our hands. You may advance and be absolutely irresistible if you make for the enemy's weak points. You may retire and be safe from pursuit if your movements are more rapid than those of the enemy. If we wish to fight, the enemy can be forced to an engagement even though he be sheltered behind a high rampart and a deep ditch. All we need to do is attack some other place that he will be obliged to relieve. If we do not wish to fight, we can prevent the enemy from engaging us even though the lines of our encampment be merely traced out on the ground. All we need to do is to throw something odd and unaccountable in his way. By discovering the enemy's dispositions and remaining invisible ourselves, we can keep our forces concentrated while the enemies must be divided. We can form a single united body while the enemy must split up into fractions. Hence, there will be a whole pitted against separate parts of a whole, which means that we shall be many to the enemy's few. And if we are able thus to attack an inferior force with a superior one, our opponents will be in dire straits. The spot where we intend to fight must not be made known, For then the enemy will have to prepare against a possible attack at several different points, and his forces being thus distributed in many directions. The numbers we shall have to face at any given point will be proportionately few. For should the enemy strengthen his van, he will weaken his rear. Should he strengthen his rear, he will weaken his van. Should he strengthen his left, he will weaken his right. Should he strengthen his right, he will weaken his left. If he sends reinforcements everywhere, he will everywhere be weak. Numerical weakness comes from having to prepare against possible attacks. Numerical strength from compelling our adversary to make these preparations against us. Knowing the place and the time of the coming battle, we may concentrate from the greatest distances in order to fight. But if neither time nor place be known, then the left wing will be impotent to succor the right equally impotent to succor the left, the van unable to relieve the rear, or the rear to support the van. How much more so if the furthest portions of the army are anything under 100 li apart, and even the nearest are separated by several li? Though, according to my estimate of soldiers of Yue, exceeded our own number, that shall advantage them nothing in the matter of victory. I say then that victory can be achieved. Though the enemy be stronger in numbers, we may prevent him from fighting. Scheme so as to discover his plans and the likelihood of their success. Rouse him and learn the principle of his activity or inactivity. Force him to reveal himself so as to find out his vulnerable spots. Carefully compare the opposing army with your own, so that you may know where strength is superabundant and where it is deficient. In making tactical dispositions, the highest pitch you can attain is to conceal them. Conceal your dispositions, and you will be safe from the prying of the subtlest spies, from the machinations of the wisest brains. This is why the shadow work is necessary, so that you can handle your triggers, because your triggers are telling of your weaknesses. When you get triggered by something you see or something you hear and you get all emotional about it and you react like an animal, you're showing all your weaknesses, butt naked. So, how victory may be produced for them out of the enemy's own tactics. That is what the multitude cannot comprehend. All men can see the tactics whereby I conquer, but what none can see is the strategy out of which victory is evolved. Strategy is way more important than tactics. Do not repeat the tactics which have gained you one victory, but let your methods be regulated by the infinite variety of circumstances. And see, this is good when you think about the difference between reading a manual or a grimoire or a book of magic that tells you how one magician conjured up spirits. It's good to read several to cross-reference and get the underarching strategy, not just little tactics and little spells and tricks, right? That's why they don't work for everybody. You got an underlying strategy. Military tactics are like unto water. For water, in its natural course, runs away from high places and hastens downwards. So in war, the way to avoid what is strong and to strike at what is weak. Water shapes its course according to the nature of the ground over which it flows. The soldier works out his victory in relation to the foe in whom he is facing. Therefore, just as water retains no constant shape, so in warfare there are no constant conditions. He who can modify his tactics in relation to his opponent and thereby succeeding in winning may be called a heaven-born captain. Check that out, number 33. The five elements, water, fire, wood, metal, earth, are not always equally predominant. The four seasons make way for each other in turn. There are short days and long. The moon has its periods of waning and waxing. I love it. So now we're on the chapter called Maneuvering. Oh my God, they match. Isn't that so cool? Azrael W, what's up? Mike McGee, what's good? My brother, what's good? Bunny Queen says that's what I'd be saying. Strip the emotions, focus on the energy. Indeed, it's super important. That's why it's such a huge part of this process. Like, the shadow work isn't just a fad. Like, it's crucial to getting any type of progress with your spiritual success. Because if you're constantly hindered by your emotions and your triggers, that's your limit. That's your limitation. Because eventually you're going to be tested with those same triggers. And if you never get over them, that's where you're stuck. That's why, you can't really talk to some people. You know what I'm saying? Like, say, for example, if you try to talk to a Christian about spiritual principles, the more you start to get outside of what the Bible says, you're going to start hitting limits. And no matter what you say or how much sense it makes, they're emotionally attached to their doctrine and their beliefs. So you're not going to go anywhere. Likewise with your triggers, if you get stuck, you know what I'm saying, off of what somebody says or what something that happened to you, and you just react to when that situation pops up again, you're never going to see through it. It will always have control over you. All of our enemies are not people. Hell, none of our enemies are people. Our enemies are our own thoughts and our own words and how we interpret them. What's good, KP? Can you put these videos in a playlist for others who don't have the book at the moment but will obtain them later? I have a playlist of the audiobooks. Maybe it's private. But yeah, for sure, buddy. So let's continue. Maneuvering. Sun Tzu said, "In war, the general receives his commands from the sovereign. Having collected an army and concentrated his forces, he must blend and harmonize the different elements thereof before pitching his camp." After that comes tactical maneuvering, than which there is nothing more difficult. The difficulty of tactical maneuvering consists in turning the devious into the direct, and misfortune into gain. Thus, to take a long and circuitous route after enticing the enemy out of the way, and though starting after him to contrive to reach the goal before him, shows knowledge of the artifice of deviation. Let me read that again. Thus, to take a long and circuitous route after enticing the enemy out of the way, and though starting after him to contrive to reach the goal before him, shows the knowledge of the artifice of deviation. Maneuvering with an army is advantageous, with an undisciplined multitude most dangerous. Check that out. Maneuvering with an army is advantageous versus with an undisciplined multitude, the masses of asses, regular humans. If you set a fully equipped army and march in order to snatch an advantage, the chances are that you will be too late. On the other hand, to detach a flying column for the purpose involves the sacrifice of its baggage and stores. Thus, if you order your men to roll up their buff coats and make forced marches without halting day or night, covering double the usual distance in a stretch, doing 100 li in order to wrest an advantage, the leaders of all your 3 divisions will fall into the hands of the enemy. The stronger men will be in front. The jaded ones will fall behind. And on this plan, only 1/10 of your army will reach its destination. If you march 50 li in order to outmaneuver the enemy, you will lose the leader of your first division, and only half your force will reach the goal. If you march 30 li with the same object, 2/3 of your army will arrive. We may take it then that an army without its baggage train is lost. Without provisions, it is lost. Without bases of supply, it is lost. We cannot enter into alliances until we are acquainted with the designs of our neighbors. Let me read that again. We cannot enter into alliances until we are acquainted with the designs of our neighbors. We are not fit to lead an army on the march unless we are familiar with the face of the country, its mountains and forests, its pitfalls and precipices, its marshes and swamps. That's important right there. We are not fit to lead an army on the march unless we are familiar with the face of the country. Why would you follow or take advice from somebody who doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about, right? We shall be unable to turn natural advantage to account unless we make use of local guides. In war, practice dissimulation and you will succeed. Whether to concentrate or to divide your troops must be decided by the circumstances. Let your rapidity be that of the wind. Let your compactness be that of the forest. In raiding and plundering, be like fire, its immovability like a mountain. Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. I like that. When you plunder a countryside, let the spoil be divided amongst your men. When you capture new territory, cut it up into allotments for the benefit of the soldiery. Ponder and deliberate before you make a move. If nothing else, remember that. He will conquer who has learnt the artifice of deviation, such as the art of maneuvering. The Book of Army Management says, on the field of battle, the spoken word does not carry far enough, hence the institution of gongs and drums, nor can ordinary objects be seen clearly enough, hence the institution of banners and flags. Gongs and drums, banners and flags are means whereby the ears and the eyes of the host may be focused on one particular point. Back on that magic. The host thus forming a single united body, is it impossible either for the brave to advance alone or for the cowardly to retreat alone? This is the art of handling large masses of men. What's the author in that book that says the world is ruled by signs and symbols? Somebody look that up on Google real quick. The world is ruled by signs and symbols. I forgot what book that's from. Lamar Harmon, what's good? If you're reading along with us, I'm in the chapter called Maneuvering. And I'm on stanza number 26. All right. In night fighting, then, make much use of signal fires and drums, and in fighting by day of flags and banners, as a means of influencing the ears and eyes of your army. A whole army may be robbed of its spirit. A commander-in-chief may be robbed of his presence of mind. As a commander-in-chief, you got to have your presence of mind. Best way to do that, make sure you get that meditation in. I should probably do that after I finish this, to be honest. Now, a soldier's spirit is keenest in the morning. By noonday, it has begun to flag, and in the evening, his mind is bent only on returning to camp. A clever general, therefore, avoids an army when its spirit is keen, but attacks when it is sluggish and inclined to return. This is the art of studying moods. Disciplined and calm, to await the appearance of disorder and hubbub amongst the enemy. This is the art of retaining self-possession. To be near the goal while the enemy is still far from it. To wait at ease while the enemy is toiling and struggling. To be well fed while the enemy is famished is the art of husbanding one's strength. To refrain from intercepting an enemy whose banners are in perfect order. To refrain from attacking an army drawn up in calm and confident array is the art of studying circumstances. It is a military axiom not to advance uphill against the enemy, nor to oppose him when he comes downhill. Do not pursue an enemy who simulates flight. Do not attack soldiers whose temper is keen. Do not swallow bait offered by the enemy. Do not interfere with an army that is returning home. When you surround an army, leave an outlet free. Do not press a desperate foe too hard. Such is the art of warfare. Thank you, Miss Patrice. That's exactly what I was looking for. Signs and symbols rule the world, not words or laws. That was Confucius. Thank you. Thank you so much. I thought I saw it in one of those books about the Illuminati. What the hell is it called? It's not important. $11.11, right? Okay. This chapter is variation in tactics. I got my sea moss ginger and green tea. Dr. Sebi said, it'll make me immortal. Let's continue. Sun Tzu said, in war, the general receives his commands from the sovereign, collects his army, and concentrates his forces. When in difficult country, do not encamp. In country where high roads intersect, join hands with your allies. Do not linger in dangerously isolated positions. In hemmed-in situations, you must resort to stratagem. In desperate position, you must fight. In hemmed-in situations, you must resort to stratagem. In desperate position, you must fight. There are roads which must not be followed, armies which must not be attacked, towns which must not be besieged, positions which must not be contested, commands of the sovereign which must not be obeyed. The general who thoroughly understands the advantages that accompany variation of tactics knows how to handle his troops. The general who does not understand these may be well acquainted with the configuration of the country, yet he will not be able to turn his knowledge to practical account. So the student of war who is unversed in the art of war of varying his plans, even though he be acquainted with the 5 advantages, will fail to make the best use of his men. Gotta be flexible, right? It's not always about sticking to the script. Sometimes you got to jazz it up a little bit based on the circumstance. Hence, in the wise leader's plans, considerations of advantage and of disadvantage will be blended together. You win some, you lose some, but you live to fight another day. Rest in peace, Pops. If your expectation of advantage be tempered in any way, we may succeed in accomplishing the essential part of our schemes. If, on the other hand, in the midst of difficulties, we are always ready to seize an advantage, we may extricate ourselves from misfortune. Reduce the hostile chiefs by inflicting damage on them, and make trouble for them, and keep them constantly engaged. Hold out specious allurements, and make them rush to any given point. The art of war teaches us to rely not on the likelihood of the enemy's not coming, but on our own readiness to receive him. Not on the chance of his not attacking, but rather on the fact that we have made our position unassailable. Right? So it's not about pretending or wishing that it's not going to happen. It's about being ready for it when it happens, right? I'm telling you, this applies to many things, especially things that are going on in life right now. There are 5 dangerous faults which may affect a general. 1. Recklessness, which leads to destruction. 2. Cowardice, which leads to capture. 3. A hasty temper, which can be provoked by insults. 4. A delicacy of honor, which is sensitive to shame. 5. Over solicitude for his men, which exposes him to worry and trouble. Wow. So, 5 dangerous faults which may affect a general. Being reckless, which leads to destruction, which is basically you not thinking before you act. Cowardice, which leads to capture, meaning you're not even ready to lead because you're still scared. A hasty temper, which can be provoked by insults, back with the shadow work, right? When you got these triggers that you haven't dealt with. So now you're going to be provoked eventually. A delicacy of honor, which is sensitive to shame, which means people who are doing this for the fame and the glory. And people who are clout chasers, right? Doing this for attention and shit like that means that they are by default sensitive to shame. Like I said, your triggers expose your weaknesses. Over solicitude for his men, which exposes him to worry. This is why you can't save the world. You know what I'm saying? I love people in general, but you can't be too attached to any singular person, because instead of doing what needs to be done, you're going to get all caught up in the drama. These are the 5 besetting sins of a general, ruinous to the conduct of war. When an army is overthrown and its leader slain, the cause will surely be found among these 5 dangerous faults. Let them be a subject of meditation. I like it. It looks so damn the same. Check these comments real quick. Greetings to anyone who has joined up new. Yeah, as you can see, we're reading The Art of War by Sun Tzu, a book that most everyone should read at least once in their lives. Ivan says, today I learned that we should start a day with meditation to create a positive thought form that will try to survive as much as possible. That's a good way to look at it. As long as you're starting your day intentful, as opposed to just letting life happen to you. Because if you're just letting life happen to you, you have no right to complain. Greetings, Lord Drama, divine. Stephen Urkel asks, serious question. Do you think they will force us all to take a vaccine from the virus? And is that the mark of the beast? Don't know. I don't care. I don't really concern myself with that. You know what I'm saying? That's a what if. I don't waste time with ifs. I waste, I spend time focused on things that I can apply and things that, are useful to my goals and my intentions, right? You're pretty much just repeating something that you heard on a YouTube video or something that someone else said on Facebook, right? We don't know anything about anything, so let's focus on the work, right? Nothing's changed from before till now. Maintain your frame, be ever vigilant, exert your influence, always be leading. I mean, you be new here, right? I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but fear, it's all fear. I don't know if it's going to be the mark of the beast. If it is, okay, so what? So what if it's the mark of the beast? So what if they force you to get a virus, force you to get a vaccine, and they force you to get the mark of the beast? Then what? Now you're sitting here with this chip in your hand. You got the mark of the beast. Then what, bro? Are you gonna what? You gonna cry? You're gonna fight the police? What are you gonna do? Nothing, right? So what you can worry about is what you're going to do now. How can you strengthen and enforce your mind? How can you enforce your spirit? How can you reinforce your body? How can you prepare? How can you be in a position to where you can take life as it comes no matter what happens, right? That's something to think about instead of worrying about imaginary shit all day. This channel, this community, this place, we don't spend time worrying and stressing and getting all caught up in fear bullshit. Here we worry about, being prepared to live right now. You feel me? But whatever. Hikate Goddess says, Kuan Yin called the immortal pill is what you drinking. I can dig it. Greetings, Cosmic Serpent. Oh yes, Unicorn Gang Gang Gang. This whole dynamic they are suggesting to play is very interesting, almost like they're describing a dance. Yeah, it's true. It's like a dance. I'm telling you, this book is very much in line with the rest of these occult books. It talks about the flow of the universe, the flow of nature. You feel me? Wow, I'm at war with myself, plant-based Jess says. Absolutely, we all are. And once you calm that war down, at least once you zoom out and see that it's not a war, it's more like having sex between two different forces, the masculine and the feminine. Once you see that it's all one, it's no longer war. It is what it is. You can be at peace at that point. Anon asks, is that screaming? Yes. Ivan says, demons are wilding in his living room. Absolutely. How you doing, says plant-based Jess. I'm doing pretty good, actually. As you can hear, the demons are having a party upstairs. I would join in, but, I'm a nerd. Queen Tati says, greetings. I need to reread this book. Yes, please join us. The Black Saiyan says, triggers are weaknesses. I agree. Good, Lamar Harmon. Good to see you. Yeah, right. We don't care over here. Did you study? Facts. Take silver before and after. Whatever floats your boat. Bunny Queen says, break dance that I can lose my mom in the store anymore. I don't get it. What's good, Black Tourmaline? Good to see you. Okay, I get you. Joey James says, I look for during meditation. You should look for yourself. You should sit down and be quiet and not move, not try to do anything special. Just be still and train your body to be absolutely still. Train your body to not fidget or scratch, none of that. Be still. And watch how every sensation on your body causes a thought. And follow that. And you'll begin to see how the body works. It's a machine. Every little piece of stimulus makes you think something. And you seek to constantly by the stimulus. But that's not really the point of this video. But hopefully that answers your question a bit. Yeah, I know it's upside down. Cole Smith. But this ain't upside down. All right, we need to get back to the book. All right, yeah, so here we go. Terrain. X, my favorite number. Sun Tzu says, we may distinguish 6 kinds of terrains, to wit. 1, accessible ground. 2, entangling ground. 3, temporizing ground. 4, narrow passes. 5, precipitous heights. 6, positions at a great distance from the enemy. 2, ground which freely traversed by both sides is called accessible. With regard to ground of this nature, be before the enemy and occupying the raised and sunny spots, and carefully guard your line of supplies. Then you will be able to fight with advantage. Ground which can be but abandoned, but is hard to reoccupy, is called entangling. From a position of this sort, if the enemy is unprepared, you may sally forth and defeat him. But if the enemy is prepared for your coming and you fail to defeat him, then, return being impossible, disaster will ensue. When the position is such that neither side will gain by making the first move, it is called temporizing ground. In a position of this sort, even though the enemy should offer us an attractive bait, it will be advisable not to stir forth, but rather to retreat, thus enticing the enemy in his turn. Then, when part of his army has come out, we may deliver our attack with advantage. With regard to narrow passes, if you can occupy them first, let them be strongly garrisoned and wait the advent of the enemy. Should the army forestall you in occupying a pass, do not go after him if the pass is fully garrisoned, but only if it is weakly garrisoned. With regard to precipitous heights, if you are beforehand with your adversary, you should occupy the raised and sunny spots and wait there for him to come up. If the enemy has occupied them before you, do not follow him, but retreat and try to entice him away. If you are situated at a great distance from the enemy, and the strength of the 2 armies is equal, it is not easy to provoke a battle, and fighting will be to your disadvantage. These are the 6 principles with earth. The general who has attained a responsible post must be careful to study them. Now, an army is exposed to 6 several calamities, not arising from natural causes, but from faults for which the general is responsible. These are 1, flight. 2, insubordination. 3, collapse. 4, ruin. 5, disorganization. 6, rout. Other conditions being equal, if one force is hurled against another 10 times its size, the result will be the flight of the former. When the common soldiers are too strong and their officers too weak, the result is insubordination. When the officers are too strong and the common soldiers are too weak, the result is collapse. That's something to remember. When the higher officers are angry and insubordinate, and on meeting the enemy give battle on their own account from a feeling of resentment, before the commander-in-chief can tell whether or not he is in a position to fight, the result is ruin. Let me read that again. When the higher officers are angry and insubordinate, and on meeting the enemy give battle on their own account from a feeling of resentment, before the commander-in-chief can tell whether or not he's in a position to fight, the result is ruin. So basically, if you're the commander-in-chief, and you haven't, let me rephrase that. If the officer gets angry and emotional and tries to launch an attack before the commander tells him to do so, that results in ruin. When the general is weak and without authority, when his orders are not clear and distinct, when there are no fixed duties assigned to officers and men, and the ranks are formed in a slovenly and haphazard manner, the result is utter disorganization. When a general is unable to estimate the enemy's strength, allows an inferior force to engage a larger one, or hurls a weak detachment against a powerful one, and neglects to place picked soldiers in the front rank, The result must be rout. These are 6 ways of courting defeat, which must be carefully noted by the general who has attained a responsible post. Anyone that's in charge of anything, really. The natural formation of the country is the soldier's best ally, but a power of estimating the adversary, of controlling the forces of victory, and of shrewdly calculating difficulties, dangers, and distances constitutes the test of a great general. He who knows these things and in fighting puts his knowledge into practice will win his battles. He who knows them not, nor practices them, will surely be defeated. If fighting is sure to result in victory, then you must fight, even though the ruler forbid it. If fighting will not result in victory, then you must not fight, even after the ruler's bidding. The general who advances without coveting fame and retreats without fearing disgrace, whose only thought is to protect his country and do good service for his sovereign, is the jewel of the kingdom. Regard your soldiers as your children, and they will follow you into the deepest valleys. Look upon them as your own beloved sons, and they will stand by you even unto the death. If, however, you are indulgent, but unable to make your authority felt, kind-hearted, but unable to enforce your commands, and incapable, moreover, of this order, then your soldiers must be likened to spoiled children. They are useless for any practical purpose. Didn't I just compare them to disciplining your children a few pages back? Synchronicity, right? If we know that our own men are in a condition to attack, but are unaware that the enemy is not open to attack, we have gone only halfway towards victory. If we know that the enemy is open to attack, but are unaware that our own men are not in a condition to attack, we have gone halfway towards victory. If we know that the enemy is open to attack, and also know that our men are in a condition to attack, but are unaware that the nature of the ground makes fighting impracticable, we have gone still only halfway towards victory. Hence, the experienced soldier, once in motion, is never bewildered. Once he has broken camp, he is never at a loss. Hence the saying, if you know the enemy and know yourself, your victory will not stand in doubt. If you know heaven and know earth, you may make your victory complete. I love it. Good solid wisdom right here. Yeah, Bunny Queen, I'm noticing that too. Seems like, she says, seems like a lot of back and forth. Seems like the main goal is to tire out your enemy and strike how you see fit. Yeah. What I'm seeing is it's about being smart. It's about being a few steps ahead. About not being emotional in the battle, right? Not being tossed and turned by impulses. Same shit we've been talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's about using strategy, not tactics. A lot of people use tactics. They collect tactics and think that the tactics are going to win, but it's actually the strategy of these tactics. Yeah, I really like that. It's about knowing yourself as a general, knowing your army, right? Their condition, their strengths, their weaknesses, their condition, knowing the condition of your opponents, right? Knowing where they stand. And it's about seizing the opportunity at the right time, right? Not just impulsively, but at the right time. I like what it was saying here about attacking where your enemy cannot defend, or attacking them only when they're not defending, because that ensures victory. It's kind of silly to attack them where they're heavily guarded, because you're going to lose part of your force. But yeah, this is some good stuff. Greetings, Enigmatic. How you doing? Stefan Urkel. Okay, I just like the show. I get it. But yeah, man, don't take offense or anything like that. It's all good. Basically, what I'm saying is, even though the world's going crazy, that doesn't mean you have to go crazy. Knowledge usually defeats fear. So get some actual concrete information as opposed to just what people are saying. Because people are going to say anything. Most people are idiots. They're just going to repeat what they've heard, regardless if it's true or not. So don't get wrapped up in all that shit. You know what I'm saying? And also keep in mind, how does it apply to you? Whatever it is that you're learning or talking about or thinking about, how does this apply to me, right? That's why I don't get too wrapped up in the what ifs, because most of the what ifs don't apply to me. They're interesting to think about, don't get me wrong, right? It's entertaining, but it has no substance, right? We can talk about a flat earth or reptilians or COVID-19 conspiracies and all that good stuff, but what does it actually have to do with you? You know what I'm saying? If you don't have it and no one you know has it, you know what I'm saying? As long as you're being clean and safe or whatever, it doesn't profit you to get wrapped up in that stuff. Yes, Bunny Queen says, eye on the prize, don't get distracted, standing firm in your ground and choose your enemy can't shake you. Yes. And look at how that applies to your emotion and your mental state and your well-being. Dang, Black Saiyan. I was reading that just as you deleted it. All right, let's continue. Let's get to the 9 situations. The 9 situations. Sun Tzu said, the art of war recognizes 9 varieties of ground: dispersive ground, facile ground, contentious ground, open ground, ground of intersecting highways, serious ground, difficult ground, hemmed in ground, desperate ground. When a chieftain is fighting in his own territory, it is dispersive ground. When he has penetrated into hostile territory, but to no great distance, it is facile ground. Ground the position of which imports great advantage to either side is contentious ground. Ground on which each side has liberty of movement is open ground. Ground which forms the key to 3 contiguous states, so that he who occupies it first has the most of the empire at his command, is a ground of intersecting highways. When an army has penetrated into the heart of a hostile country, leaving a number of fortified cities in its rear, it is serious ground. Mountain forests, rugged steeps, marshes and fens, all country that is hard to traverse, is difficult ground. Ground which is reached through narrow gorges, and from which we can only retire by tortuous paths, so that a small number of the enemy would suffice to crush a large body of our men, is hemmed in ground. Ground on which we can only be saved from destruction by fighting without delay is desperate ground. On dispersive ground, therefore, fight not. On facile ground, halt not. On contentious ground, attack not. On open ground, do not try to block the enemy's way. On the ground of intersecting highways, join hands with your allies. On serious ground, gather in plunder. In difficult ground, keep steadily on the march. On hemmed in ground, resort to stratagem. On desperate ground, fight. Those who were called skillful leaders of old knew how to drive a wedge between the enemy's front and rear, to prevent cooperation between his large and small divisions, to hinder the good troops from rescuing the bad, the officers from rallying their men. When the enemy's men were united, they managed to keep them in disorder. When it was to their advantage, they made a forward move. When otherwise, they stopped still. If asked how to cope with a great host of the enemy in orderly array and on the point of marching to the attack, I should say, begin by seizing something which your opponent holds dear. Then he will be amenable to your will. Rapidity is the essence of war. Take advantage of the enemy's unreadiness. Make your way by unexpected routes and attack unguarded spots. That's probably my favorite part of this strategy here, attacking unguarded spots. The following are the principles to be observed by an invading force. The further you penetrate into a country, the greater will be the solidarity of your troops, and thus the defenders will not prevail against you. Make forays in fertile country in order to supply your army with food. Carefully study the well-being of your men, and do not overtax them. Concentrate your energy and hoard your strength. Keep your army continually on the move and devise unfathomable plans. Devise unfathomable plans. That sounds so Galactus, so Thanos. Throw your soldiers into positions whence there is no escape, and they will prefer death to flight. If they will face death, there is nothing they may not achieve. Officers and men alike will put forth their uttermost strength. Soldiers, when in desperate straits, lose the sense of fear. Why is it so important to lose the sense of fear? If there is no place of refuge, they will stand firm. If they are in hostile country, they will show a stubborn front. If there is no help for it, they will fight hard. Thus, without waiting to be marshaled, the soldiers will be constantly on the qui vive. The hell? Qui vive. Without waiting to be asked, they will do your will. Without restrictions, they will be faithful. Without giving orders, they can be trusted. Prohibit the taking of omens and do away with superstitious doubts. Then, until death itself comes, no calamity need be feared. Boom. Right there, Stefano Curl. That right there. Let's read that again. And I want you to apply it to the question you asked me about microchips implanted and vaccines. Prohibit the taking of omens and do away with superstitious doubts. Then, until death itself comes, no calamity need be feared. Unless you're going to touch me, there's nothing to be worried about, right? Did you die? Like that movie says, right? Don't worry about all this stuff. It's all empty threats. It's all fear. Until something actually happens, we're just scaring ourselves for no reason. It's all superstition. That's right. So don't waste your time getting wrapped up in it. You know what I'm saying? Let's work on these that actually have an impact on your life right now in a beneficial way. Right? I'm sure on your Facebook page you're seeing a bunch of people spreading fear because they're scared, right? Let's continue. If our soldiers are not overburdened with money, it is not because they have a distaste for riches. If their lives are not unduly long, it is not because they are disinclined to longevity. On the day they are ordered out to battle, your soldiers may weep. Those sitting up bedwetting their bedewing. Goodness. Those sitting up bedewing their garments, and those lying down letting the tears run down their cheeks. But let them once be brought to bay, and they will display the courage of a Chu or a Kue. The skillful tactician may be likened to the Shui. Now the Shuizhan is a snake that is found in the Chuang Mountains. Strike at its head, and you will be attacked by its tail. Strike at its tail, and you will be attacked by its head. Strike at its middle, and you will be attacked by head and tail both. Asked if an army can be made and to imitate the Shuizhan, I should answer yes, for the men of Wu and the men of Yue are enemies. Yet if they are crossing a river in the same boat and are caught by storm, they will come to each other's assistance just as the left hand helps the right. Hence, it is not enough to put one's trust in the tethering of horses and the burying of chariot wheels in the ground. The principle on which to manage an army is to set up one standard of courage which all must reach. How to make the best of both strong and weak, that is a question involving the proper use of ground. Thus, the skillful general conducts his army just as though he were leading a single man, willy-nilly, by the hand. Willy-nilly is one of my favorite words in the English language. I'm going to highlight it just because I like it. It is the business of a general to be quiet and thus ensure secrecy, upright and just, and thus maintain order. He must be able to mystify his officers and men by false reports and appearances, and thus keep them in total ignorance. By altering his arrangements and changing his plans, he keeps the enemy without definite knowledge. By shifting his camp and taking circuitous routes, he prevents the enemy from anticipating his purpose. At the critical moment, the leader of an army acts like one who has climbed up a height and then kicks away the ladder behind him. He carries his men deep into hostile territory before he shows his hand. Yeah, strategy. Let me highlight that. At the critical moment, the leader of an army acts like one who has climbed up a height and then kicks away the ladder behind him. He carries his men deep into hostile territory before he shows his hand. Now for my trump card. He burns his boats and breaks his cooking pots like a shepherd driving a flock of sheep. He drives his men this way and that, and nothing knows whither he is going. To muster his host and to bring it into danger, this may be termed the business of the general. The different measures suited to the 9 varieties of ground, the expediency of aggressive or defensive tactics, and the fundamental laws of human nature, these are things that must most certainly be studied. When invading hostile territory, the general principle is that penetrating deeply brings cohesion. Penetrating but a short way means dispersion. When you leave your own country behind and take your army across neighborhood territory, you find yourself on critical ground. When there are means of communication on all four sides, the ground is one of intersecting highways. When you penetrate deeply into a country, it is serious ground. When you penetrate but a little way, it is facile ground. When you have the enemy's strongholds on your rear and narrow passes in front, it is hemmed in ground. When there is no place of refuge at all, it is desperate ground. Therefore, on dispersive ground, I would inspire my men with unity of purpose. On facile ground, I would see that there is close connection between all parts of my army. On contentious ground, I would hurry up my rear. On open ground, I would keep a vigilant eye on my defenses. On ground intersecting highways, I would consolidate my alliances. On serious ground, I would try to ensure a continuous stream of supplies. On difficult ground, I would keep pushing on along the road. On hemmed in ground, I would block any way of retreat. On desperate ground, I would proclaim to my soldiers the hopelessness of saving their lives. We finna die. So let's give it all we got, right? For it is a soldier's disposition to offer an obstinate resistance when surrounded, to fight hard when he cannot help himself, and to obey promptly when he has fallen into danger. We cannot enter into alliance with neighboring princes until we are acquainted with their designs. They repeated that for a reason. We are not fit to lead an army on the march unless we are familiar with the face of the country. They had to repeat that too. Very important. Its mountains and its forests, its pitfalls and precipices, its marshes and swamps. We shall be unable to turn natural advantages to account unless we make use of local guides. They repeated that too. These things must be key. Let me say that again. We cannot enter into alliance with neighboring princes until we are acquainted with their designs. We are not fit to lead an army on the march unless we are familiar with the face of the country. We shall be unable to turn natural advantages to account unless we make use of local guides. To be ignored of any of the following 4 or 5 principles does not befit a warlike prince. When a warlike prince attacks a powerful state, his generalship shows itself in preventing the concentration of the enemy's forces. He overawes his opponents, and their allies are prevented from joining against him. Hence, he does not strive to ally himself with all and sundry, nor does he foster the power of other states. He carries out his own secret designs, keeping his antagonists in awe. Thus, he is able to capture their cities and overthrow their kingdoms. Keep your antagonists in awe, guys. It's very important. Sun Tzu says so. Bestow rewards without regard to rule. Issue orders without regard to previous arrangements. Gotta be flexible. And you will be able to handle a whole army as though you had to do with but a single man. Confront your soldiers with deed itself. Never let them know your design. When the outlook is bright, bring it before their eyes, but tell them nothing when the situation is gloomy. Well, that kind of explains why the managers don't tell you everything, just what you need to know for the day. Place your army in deadly peril and it will survive. Plunge it into desperate straits and it will come off in safety. For it is precisely when a force has fallen into harm's way that it is capable of striking a blow for victory. Success in warfare is gained by carefully accommodating ourselves to the enemy's purpose. Let me say that again. Success in warfare is gained by carefully accommodating ourselves to the enemy's purpose. I think it said earlier in this book that it's better to, it's not about hoping and wishing that the bad thing won't happen, but it's being ready for it when it happens. By persistently hanging on the enemy's flank, we shall succeed in the long run in killing the commander-in-chief. This is called ability to accomplish a thing by sheer cunning. On the day that you take up your command, block the frontier passes, destroy the official tallies, and stop the passage of all emissaries. Be stern in the council chamber so that you may control the situation. If the enemy leaves a door open, you must rush in. Forestall your opponent by seizing what he holds dear and subtly contrive to time his arrival on the ground. Forestall your opponent by seizing what he holds dear. Walk in the path defined by rule and accommodate yourself to the enemy until you can fight a decisive battle. At first, then, exhibit the coyness of a maiden until the enemy gives you an opening. Afterwards, emulate the rapidity of a running hare, and it will be too late for the enemy to oppose you. Pay attention. Stefano Curl, I noticed the unicorn and I see unicorns everywhere. Welcome, my friend. That means you are part of the movement, right? To sound all deep and mysterious. Yeah, it's a good sign. You're going to keep seeing them more and more, and you're going to love it. Let's see. Yeah, Bunny Queen. Oh shit, 9 situations. I know how I can manipulate this. Hashtag hacker mode. 369. Understand those numbers. The 3 numbers that exist outside of the matrix, the simulation, the numbers of the cycles. Credit goes to the homie Michael, who pointed out the significance of Nikola Tesla's reference to 369. Look up vortex mathematics if you're interested. The matrix is, a simulation run off of numbers. Our reality is run off of numbers. But the numbers 3, 6, and 9 exist outside of the simulation because those are the numbers of recurring cycles. 24 hours in a day, 12 months in the year, 360 degrees, 180 degrees, 720 degrees, 72 goetic spirits. All these numbers add up to 9. And, well, all of them, some of them add up to 9, some are divisible by 3 or 6. There's a reason for that. But let's stick to this book. So easy to get sidetracked. Stefano Urkel asks, why do you have a unicorn, Travis? I'm here from So It Is Written and Masterly Foolish, and Tiffany Messenger used to be on here, but you're more advanced than I'm used to. Yes, it is my job to help new people get advanced very quickly. So keep doing what you're doing. You're on the right path. But being comfortable means no growth. Yes, that's true. Money Queen asks, is anyone else seeing Sun Tzu visually showing them this? He's been popping up for the past couple of days, and that's kind of how I knew that I needed to do this. Like, wow. Bunny Queen says, I like that. Even though you are fully emotional, learn when to recenter and become a rock. Yes, indeed. Got to be in control of the emotions, not the other way around. Rev Sagan says, snake emoji, devil smile, the frame. Maintain the frame. Stefano Kell asks, so make them think you're with them until it's time to kick the ladder. I think what it's saying is, how the old saying goes, lay low till you come up. Well, how's it? Stay humble till you come up, or something like that. No need to show off until like you've actually won. No need to talk big, because again, like I said, usually your insecurities show off your weaknesses, right? If you got to brag and boast before you got it, that shows how much you are defined by your possessions. Bunny Queen says, seems like the art of directing the other's attention to lower their focus on what you really want. Bingo. Focus is everything in what we're doing. Focus, attention, right? Distraction is the real enemy. Mike McGee, you said, damn, that was powerful. I wish you could point out which part it was. I missed it. I'll have to look at the video again. Yeah. The Black Saying says, study the general spirit, higher self. Yeah. The general, yeah, that's a great way to look at it. Awesome, dude. The general will be like the spirit or higher self. And he says, study your men or your army. That's like the body. And your enemy is like ego triggers. Whoa, that's perfect. That's fucking perfect. The Black Saying, I'm not Brother Panic, but you get a good nigger sticker. You get a unicorn sticker for that, bro. That's awesome. The higher self is like the general. The army is like the body. The enemy is like the ego triggers. Perfect. All right, so let's get down to the next chapter. The attack by fire. Ooh, sounds interesting. Bunny Queen, bingo. You say, so pretend to be distracted, but fully aware of your goals to distract your emotions, aka the ego. Hell yeah. Awesome. So we're all getting this. We're all getting this. Even me. That was awesome. Queen Tati says, will the video stay up after the live? I want to take notes afterwards. Yes, it will. I've been meaning to finish this book, so this gives me the perfect excuse to do so. So here we go. The attack by fire. Sun Tzu said, there are 5 ways of attacking with fire. The first is to burn soldiers in their camp. The second is to burn stores. The third is to burn baggage trains. The fourth is to burn arsenals and magazines. The fifth is to hurl dropping fire amongst the enemy. In order to carry out an attack, we must have means available. The material for raising fire should always be kept in readiness. There is a proper season for making attacks with fire, and special days for starting a conflagration. The proper season is when the weather is very dry. The special days are those when the moon is in the constellations of the sieve, aka the Big Dipper, the wall, the wing, or the crossbar. For these 4 are all days of rising wind. Interesting how in this book they're talking about the proper season is when the weather's very dry, and the special days deal with the constellations and the moon. This quote keeps popping up in my life also, so I know it's important. I think it's Warren Buffett that said, millionaires don't study astrology, but billionaires do. Astrology is extremely important. It's not myth and it's not superstition. Astrology is a science. All right, had to take a sip of that sweet sea moss because Dr. Sebi said it will make me invincible. The art of tricking out the trickster. Yeah, the art of ninja-ing the ninja, of pimping the pimp. Look, man, take this book, take Mimetic Magic, take the Magician, you're good to go. So let's continue. In attacking with fire, one should be prepared to meet 5 possible developments. 1. When fire breaks out inside the enemy's camp, respond at once with an attack from without. 2. If there is an outbreak of fire, but the enemy soldiers remain quiet, bide your time and do not attack. These seem pretty important. 3. When the force of the flame has reached its height, follow it up with an attack, if that is practicable. If not, stay where you are. If it is possible to make an assault with fire from without, do not wait for it to break out within, but deliver your attack at a favorable moment. When you start a fire, be to windward of it. Do not attack from the leeward. A wind that rises in the daytime lasts long, but a night breeze soon falls. In every army, the 5 developments connected with fire must be known, the movements of the stars calculated, and a watch kept for the proper days. Hence, those who use fire as an aid to the attack show intelligence. Those who use water as an aid to the attack gain an accession of strength. By means of water, an enemy may be intercepted, but not robbed of all his belongings. Unhappy is the fate of one who tries to win his battles and succeeds in his attacks without cultivating the spirit of enterprise, for the result is waste of time and general stagnation. Hence the saying, the enlightened ruler lays his plans well ahead. The good general cultivates his resources. I need to start cultivating some resources, that's for sure. Move not unless you see an advantage. Use not your troops unless there is something to be gained. Fight not unless the position is critical. That's very important too. Move not unless you see an advantage. Use not your troops unless there is something to be gained. Fight not unless the position is critical. No ruler should put troops into the field merely to gratify his own spleen. No general should fight a battle simply out of pique. Definitely. If it is to your advantage, make a forward move. If not, stay where you are. Anger may in time change to gladness. Vexation may be succeeded by content. But a kingdom that has once been destroyed can never come again into being, nor can the dead ever be brought back to life. Hence, the enlightened ruler is heedful, and the good general is full of caution. This is the way to keep a country at peace and an army intact. Good stuff. I really like this book. Oh no, we're coming to the last chapter. Am I gonna have to do another audiobook right after this? Coming up next. I'm really thinking about doing this one. I think it'd be pretty useful. But let's stay with this and finish this one up. Okay. Stefano Curl asks me, where do I get my CMOS from? Go to my Instagram now and check my stories. And I posted a link of who I got them from. She cleans them very well without harmful chemicals. She cleans them naturally with vinegar, so that's one thing that one of the reasons why I went with her. But yeah, check my Instagram story. You'll find my Instagram at LVX777. Gantz, what's good? Welcome aboard. I'm on the last chapter, the use of spies. So yeah, please read along. Bunny Queen says, fire equals heat of argument. Pay attention here. Ooh, hell yeah. Let me look back and just look at it with those new eyes. Okay. Fire equaling heat of argument. In attacking with fire, one should be prepared to meet 5 possible developments. When fire breaks out inside the enemy's camp, respond at once with an attack from without. In Apex and Call of Duty, we call that third party, right? When 2 people are fighting, you jump in and fight them both because they're distracted. If there's an outbreak of fire, but the enemy soldiers remain quiet, bide your time and do not attack. And that's most likely because it's a trap. When the force of the flames has reached its height, follow it up with an attack, if that is practicable. If not, stay where you are. So when the fire is reaching its maximum, that's when you jump in, because they're mostly panicking by the fire. If it is possible to make an assault with fire from without, do not wait for it to break out within, but deliver your attack at a favorable moment. So if you have the advantage, do it at the most advantageous time. When you start a fire, be windward of it. Do not attack from the leeward. In other words, when you start a fire, don't be in a position where the fire is going to trail up to where you are. Be away from where it's going to catch on and grow. Just checking out the comments here. Yeah, Gantz, I'm at the end. The use of spies. That's the last chapter. Alice Cuckoo, you are welcome. Thank you for being audience to this live. The Black Saiyan says, I think this is my favorite book. This is really good. I'm glad that I purchased it and I'm reading it. There's a few other books that are that go deeper, that take this book and dig into each concept. For example, I've got this one here. It's called The Rules of Victory, Strategies of the Art of War by James Gaiman and Barry Boyce. And basically they're digging into each line, right? Look how thick it is compared to this book itself. But yeah, they really break it down, and I'm reading this so I can read that other one, you know. What else we got? What else we got? Stefan Urkel says, smack them when they least expect it and make sure they can't overcome your strike. Yes, but even to add on to that, wait to do the smacking when you know the smack cannot be defended, and smack hard. According to the 48 laws of power, when you attack your enemy, make sure to obliterate them, not just wound them. Michael McGee says, a lot of this is about contemplating and winning over subtle moments so much and so often that by the time the surprise happens, it's more than overwhelming. Hell yeah, right? Just look at the effects of the coronavirus. Nobody knows what the fuck's going on. Utter confusion, right? No one's in any position to do anything useful because they're so wrapped up in their trigger, which is self-preservation, right? Oh my God, I gotta protect myself. I gotta buy all the toilet paper because that's what somebody said to do. Alex Cuckoo, yes, I'll check as soon as I get back on. Stefano Urkel says, damn, y'all super smart, I'm dumb. That's one way to look at it, you know? Or you could not put any type of value judgment on it and just observe and adjust, you know what I'm saying? We weren't born like this. I damn sure wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Nobody in this chat was. We all learned, and we were all at some point what you call dumb. It's just different levels. You know what I'm saying? The people that aren't on this, I'm not calling them dumb. I call them humans. But, you know, we do what we feel is going to gain us happiness and keep us safe, right? As humans, we run away from pain and run towards pleasure. We're that simple. So it's really hard to judge anybody. Okay, what's good, Matthew Watson? Hell yeah, crazy jewels are being dropped. Matthew Watson says this book is dropping some crazy jewels, man. Bunny Queen, hashtag nerd life, hype over seeing a new book. Right? Stefan Urkel, damn Trav, I love your sessions. Peace, man. I love you too. Bunny Queen says, world stressing over 3 symptoms. Dumbasses. And what's crazy is that it's not anything new. Like, it's the same shit. It's just, you know, sensational, as Future would say. Yeah. Some guy hand sanitized his gloves. What the hell? What the hell? All right, look. I don't fall into any of this shit, so I bought my gloves way before this shit broke out. But usually gloves come in a big ass pack. There's no need to freaking hand sanitize your gloves instead of just getting a new one. That goes to show you, people who aren't used to being clean, they transmit their nastiness over to their facade of being clean. Remember I said your overcompensation shows your weaknesses. So the people that are buying up all the hand sanitizer, all the bleach, and all the toilet paper, they're doing that because they don't usually do that, right? They're panic buying because they don't usually wash their hands. So this is all new to them. They gotta go extra. But anyways, if you stay in spirit, things work out for you. I didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but I was already prepared. Spirit told me to buy this, buy that. Listening to my intuition, I understood. You know what I'm saying? I got all my healthy stuff. Then panic broke out, and it's like, oh, so this is why Spirit was telling me to do that. Moral of the story is, become in tune with that small voice that you have, right? Intuition isn't something that you have to earn. It's already there. You just have to remove your funky ass ego so that you can hear it. Michael McGee says, laugh my ass off. In the occult world, the title human is just as equal to dumbass. Yeah, that's true. So true. Money Queen, yeah, soap pile's full. Looks like we all saw that same video on Facebook, right? All right, so all things have to come to an end. Let us continue with this last chapter, the use of spies. They look so much the same. Okay. Sun Tzu said, Raising a host of 100,000 men and marching them great distances entails heavy loss on the people and a drain on the resources of the state. The daily expenditure will amount to 1,000 ounces of silver. There will be commotion at home and abroad, and men will drop down exhausted on the highways. As many as 700,000 families will be impeded in their labor. Hostile armies may face each other for years, striving for victory, which is decided in a single day. This being so, to remain in ignorance of the enemy's condition simply because one grudges the outlay of 100 ounces of silver in honors and emoluments is the height of inhumanity. Hostile armies may face each other for years, striving for the victory which is decided in a single day. Damn, son. Damn, son. This being so, to remain in ignorance of the enemy's condition simply because one grudges the outlay of 100 ounces of silver in honors and emoluments is the height of inhumanity. One who acts thus is no leader of men, no present help to his sovereign, no master of victory. Thus, what enables the wise sovereign and the good general to strike and conquer and achieve things beyond the reach of ordinary men is foreknowledge. Knowledge is power. Now, this foreknowledge cannot be elicited from spirits. It cannot be obtained inductively from experience, nor by any deductive calculation. So they're saying it can't be achieved from spirits, it can't be achieved from experience, and it cannot be achieved by logic. Well, tell us, Sun Tzu, what can this foreknowledge be achieved by? Knowledge of the enemy's dispositions can only be obtained from other men. Ooh. Let's get to it. Okay, let's get to it. The use of spies. Knowledge of the enemy's dispositions can only be obtained from other men. Hence the use of spies, of whom there are 5 classes. 1. Local spies. 2. Inward spies. 3. Converted spies. 4. Doomed spies. 5. Surviving spies. This reminds me of those police shows where they pull the rat off the street to get all the information on the drug dealer or whatever. Yeah, so you know these people be reading these books, man. This is for everybody. Here we go. When these 5 kinds of spy are all at work, none can discover the secret system. This is called divine manipulation of the threads. It is the sovereign's most precious faculty. Gotta be careful, those of you who are addicted to telling your life story to everyone you meet. That's not the best move, you know. Some things are for you. Don't be telling everybody your life story, especially for no reason. I shade a Mother Mary, or Isis, or whoever you want to call her. The feminine spirit of magic. Okay. Having local spies means employing the services of the inhabitants of a district. Having inward spies means making use of officials of the enemy. Having converted spies, getting hold of the enemy's spies and using them for our own purposes, double agent. Having doomed spies, doing certain things openly for purposes of deception and allowing our spies to know of them and report them to the enemy. Surviving spies, finally, are those who bring back news from the enemy's camp. Hence, it is that which none in the whole army are more intimate relations to be maintained than with spies. None should be more liberally rewarded. In no other business should greater secrecy be preserved. Spies cannot be fully employed without a certain intuitive sagacity. They cannot be properly managed without benevolence and straightforwardness. Without subtle ingenuity of mind, one cannot make certain of the truth of their reports. Be subtle, and use your spies for every kind of business. That man said, be subtle twice. Verily, verily, I say unto thee, be subtle. If a secret piece of news is divulged by a spy before the time is ripe, he must be put to death, together with the man to whom the secret was told. Whether the object be to crush an army, to storm a city, or to assassinate an individual, it is always necessary to begin by finding out the names of the attendants, the aides de camp, and doorkeepers, and sentries of the general in command. Our spies must be commissioned to ascertain these. The enemy spies who have come to spy on us must be sought out, tempted with bribes, led away, and comfortably housed. Thus they will become converted spies and available for our service. It is through the information brought by the converted spy that we are able to acquire and employ local and inward spies. It is owing to this information again that we can cause the doomed spy to carry false tidings to the enemy. Lastly, it is by this information that the surviving spy can be used on appointed occasions. The end aim of spying in all its 5 varieties is knowledge of the enemy. And this knowledge can only be derived in the first instance from the converted spy. Hence, it is essential that the converted spy be treated with the utmost liberality. Of old, the rise of the Yin dynasty was due to Ai Chi, who had served under the Hsia. Likewise, the rise of Zhou dynasty was due to Liu Ya, who had served under Yin. Hence, it is only the enlightened ruler and the wise general who will use the highest intelligence of the army for purposes of spying, and thereby they achieve great results. Spies are a most important element in water because on them depends an army's ability to move. Interesting. Hecate Goddess, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And it is my pleasure. I love doing this. This is awesome. Hell, I wouldn't be against doing this every night. But all books aren't this short. Checking these comments here. Let's see what we got. Bunny Queen says, all this chaos can be solved in a single day. Yes, it's crazy. We do all this planning and all this training and all this preparation and all this, that, and the third. And for an event that's one day, you know what I'm saying? Like, people do all this work to meet up with this one person just to have sex, which only lasts for a few minutes or an hour or two, or, you know, all this work for a tiny moment. We eat healthy and we exercise and we deny ourselves pleasures and do all this stuff only to die one day. It's kind of silly when you think about it. Stefan Raquel says, Trav, I'm going to watch every video because you've been shouted out in every video I watch. I strive to gain your knowledge. You know what's better than my knowledge? Knowledge of self. But yes, I would definitely recommend watching my videos because you're going to learn things that you may have not known. And that will be helpful to you. I started with Bob Heyman as well. Yeah. Thank you again, Hecate Goddess. I appreciate you. The 3s, yeah. Sun Tzu not playing with y'all. Hell yeah. Narwa, greetings. Good to see you. Stefano Carroll says, I'm sad this is the ending. Yeah, me too. Me too. Narwa, hello all. Hope everyone is doing well. Yes. I hope you guys are not letting the world stress you out. And really observing human nature and just seeing how all this is going down, how these people are, you know, resorting to primal instinct, which is self-preservation, and those who are not doing that, you know. It's just interesting. Bunny Queen says, look at you manifesting funds in existence. Yes. And I'm very grateful. Conquest Tony Phillips, greetings. I'm a clever clown. I've been used and was aware of it, man. It's a fun game once you realize it. It is, and the best way to really learn psychological shit like this is to go through it. You know what I'm saying? I study internet marketing, and the best way to actually learn internet marketing is to be marketed to and watch how these people do it. You know what I'm saying? It's different when you're the observer. You know what I'm saying? When you're playing the role of test subject, but you're observing everything that's happening, right? Because you pick up game, you learn, right? To become a hustler, you must be hustled to, but pay attention, right? The game is to be sold, not to be told. All these things make sense. Hecate Goddess, I be your student. And yes, you are one of my first. I appreciate you. Raymond L, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that as well. Yes. Magus Academy brethren. Peace, peace. Rev Sajan, Batman and this bitch. Bunny Queen says, hearing someone else on the same frequency and action is pretty fascinating. I'm glad I came by. Yeah, and the comments that you have made here have been very insightful in bringing out some of this information in this text. I'd love to do this shit every day, man. Join the Magus Society website. It's free. You know what I'm saying? It's like the Facebook group, except it's not Facebook. We strive to talk about things like this on the daily. Let's see. Self-preservation equals toilet paper. Yeah, well, see, the beautiful thing about it is also, it's not that toilet paper is doing anything against the virus. It's that people are in a state of panic. And my humble opinion, I honestly don't think that anybody knows what's going on, not even the government. But what they do know is that you can't have people panicking and leadership tell them we don't know what to do. You got to give people something. You got to throw them a bone, because that's what hope does. It allows the mass to cling on to something that looks like an answer. It's emotional. It's not logical. Don't look for logic when you see leadership of masses of people. The toilet paper is symbolic of you having a plan or instructions on how to save yourself, right? So you cling to buy the toilet paper, not because you know it's going to help you, but because it sounds like an answer, right? Buy toilet paper is way better than saying, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Raymond L says, we got cake mental toilet paper. Hell yeah. Hecate Goddess. Woo, Batman has a bitch. I don't get it. Bunny Queen says, if you stay home, turn off your phone and TV. Guess what? Coronavirus isn't a thing. I know, right? I know, right? And imagine this. You're a person who washes your hands and stays clean and doesn't go in large groups of people all the time like myself. Imagine that. Yeah. But it is a thing. And I'd also like you to be aware that while there is a physical virus, there's also a egregore that's been created, right? A thought form, a thought virus. Check out the video I did called Thought Viruses. But essentially, just even hearing the name of this thing triggers fear, right? Narwa says, if we wait long enough, seems like there'll be plenty of everything anyway. Oh yeah, most def. Conquest Tony Phillips, the biggest virus is fear. Indeed. So I'd recommend using some mental transmutation on the word coronavirus, because the word triggers emotions, right? In everyone, right? Just like the N word triggers emotions in African American people. Words that trigger emotions. Our reality is made up of words and emotions, right? And if you're able to reframe the emotions or the meaning of a word, you can reframe your entire reality. That's not to say that things don't exist or things are going to change just because you call it something different. I'm saying sometimes even the words and how you associate memories to them can be the answer to improving your life or ruining your life. You know what I'm saying? Me just using the word demon makes a lot of people not watch my videos, but I could call them anything else. I could say spirits if I wanted to. I could say the powers that be. You know what I'm saying? Notice how that single word changes so much. Raymond L says, yeah, there's a cleansing of the earth coming, but you can feel the energy outside when you go out. Yeah, I'm really having a hard time trying to decipher whether it's just what I've seen on the internet or if the sky is actually looking so much clearer. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I've been going outside more than I have been now that we're not supposed to. You know what I'm saying? Just reading under the sun, drinking some water or some sea moss tea, you feel me? Because Dr. Sebi said that it will make me immortal. But yeah, just doing that, it feels more refreshing, more energizing, you know, relaxing. Bunny Queen says, I get a lovely grin hearing the word demonic. Right. We get different feelings and memories attached to words. So what if you're able to kind of play with the meanings of words, the words that trigger you, right? The memories that trigger you. What if you were to go in and redefine these things so that they don't hurt you? Or even better, so that they empower you, so that they give you strength. Stefan Urkel says that mean corona is a mental thing. At least the what's the word? The ideology, the ideal part of it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm sure there is actual little harmful virus thing going around. But what we're all talking about and scared of and buying toilet paper for is the idea of it, right? That's what we're all scared of, the idea of it. That sucks. That's pretty much somebody saying something mean and us cowering in our boots. Hi, yi, yi. But yeah. Conquest Tony Phillips says, give nature its time, man. It's tired of our dirty, ungrateful asses. Yeah, I would be too. Wow. Narwa. Not piano pieces. Genomes or parts of genomes, right? The videos on your channel. Bunny Queen says, been meditating in the sun and restoring and chilling with the fairies, squirrels. Been wanting to play around me more. Yeah. I noticed that the horseflies and mosquitoes don't have anyone to bite, so they want to play around more too. Hikata Goddess says, dude, try scorpion powder. Kings in China believe in it. Scorpion powder. I'll look into that. Oh yeah. What about these gamma rays, man? She says. Or Conquest 20 says. Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Love it. Marwa says demon equals angry fairy. Right? And think about the definition we have behind the word fairy, right? But if you look at the history of fairies, they're not these sweet little innocent cutie little kid things. They're pretty damn terrible. You know what I'm saying? Think about the meaning and the definition you have behind the unicorn, right? Everyone has their own little idea about this. But even still, these things were pretty, dangerous back in the day. They were to be avoided. What do you think this horn on their third eye is for? Mauling you to death. If you're impure, if you're not a virgin. Andras is an angry fairy. Yeah. What an angry fairy. Oh my goodness. So yeah, that's cool. Knocked out a book today. I'm trying to stay on my record of a book a day. Of course, it helps if it's these short books, but Would you guys be interested in the art and practice of creative visualization? I think this is a really good book that will help people understand the actual process of visualization. And this helps with interacting with spirits, and this helps with your affirmations. This helps with all types of things. I'm really feeling like I might want to read this one next. Conquest Tony Phillips says, bro, what about Michael Tablets? A lot of people keep talking about holographic universe. Was that you, KP, yesterday that brought that up? Or was that you, Raymond L? When y'all brought up the holographic universe yesterday? But I don't have that, and Amazon's kind of slow, so, well, there's a PDF. I don't know, I might stick with Ophiel, because I know that that's a good book. All right, what time do you guys want to do this live tomorrow where I read that book? For me, it's 12:30. It's midnight. Michael McGee says no homeless people on the streets. Just noticed that. Uh-oh. 305 Capricorn. Hearts back to you. All right, so it looks like a lot of people are down with Ophiel's art and practice of getting material things through creative visualization. Honestly, I should have been done that, but there's other things in life that have my attention. The cover is tripping me out. Yeah, it's cool. Stefan Raquel says, I have that book. Yo, man, there's no coincidences. Get that book, go ahead and peek into it, and have it ready, because tomorrow we getting in. We going into it. 11 a.m. That might be a little bit too early for me. But I don't know, maybe. Wow. Matthias infinitely. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes, thank you so much. Okay, Raymond L., that was you that brought it up. Yeah, you brought it up in Magus Academy. Noon says Fearless Aura. Also Mobla. Okay, I mean, maybe. Bunny Queen says we locked down. I don't care, right? Hekate Goddess says same time. It's possible. I tried to do this at 8 o'clock, but kept having technical difficulties. Yes. Enigmatic says haven't spoken to anyone in a week. Minimal text, vow of silence. That's awesome. That's awesome, bro. Use this time and really dig into that moment of silence. I'm telling you, this is like, it reminds me, I was saying this in class yesterday, it reminds me of like when I was in Vipassana, for 10 days. No social talking, none of that. We're all there, just meditation for 10 days straight, silence. And when you do that, you start to notice all your little distractions get stripped away piece by piece. There's nothing to distract your mind. You have to focus on you. And that's what's happening globally. There's no entertainers making movies. There's nobody on the sports courts playing ball. You know what I'm saying? Musicians ain't doing shit. Hollywood, our outwardly manifested ego, is being quieted, being shut down. It's forcing people to find new things to do. As much as I don't like the commotion of human mouth sounds, there's people in my house now having a party, right? When usually people are just stuck on their phones, these people are actually here enjoying the company of each other, right? Parents are at home with their kids for once. In my city, school has been shut down for the rest of the year. So how much family time are we about to get, right? I think this is a good time to start cutting out distractions and really digging into self. Just reading through the comments here. Raymond L says they still got the homeless out, but weirdly they're wearing a mask. Yeah. Gantz. I would definitely dig into what Narwa has on her channel and take that with some seriousness. Pretty interesting stuff. Okay, so some people are saying noon, some people are saying like 9 p.m. Gerald Sombright says this is the greatest time period in my life right now. That is awesome to hear, bro. That is awesome to hear. I love to see and hear that there are some people that are really taking this for all that it's really worth. This is an excellent thing. It's what you make it. You can sit here and be scared out of your fucking pants, or you can use this to really get to know who it is that you are. You can do whatever you want at this point in time, except be distracted. Introvert's dream come true, says Any Manifest. Hell yeah. Conquest Tony Phillips says, just took my girl on a patio date, candles lit outside and music. That's awesome. Human connection. Stefan Orkel says, my whole body vibrates when I meditate. Interesting. I'd recommend sitting very still though. Going back to the 90s, says Michael McGee. Hell yeah. It's great facts. Stefan Raquel says, this is my first time catching a live stream and I love it. Me too. This is my first time catching a live stream. And I too love it. Bunny Queen says, so I just jumped out of my sleep and realized it was to catch this live. Ha, you slick. You know, I'm getting payback now for appearing in so many people's dreams because my dreams don't even belong to me anymore right now. Every time I lay down and go to sleep, people are asking me questions now. Very funny, very funny. But yeah, I really think that also, maybe it's because we have less distractions, but it seems like a lot more people are able to tune into their intuitive abilities, you know? I don't want to sound too crazy here, but I almost feel like there's some type of psychic awakening going down. Like, if you're really feeling more connected, I'd really look into that. I'd take it seriously because it seems like maybe because, you know, like I said, there's less distractions, right? You can hear better and see better. And I mean, you know, psychically, but check it out. Narwa says, Henry Beamish, TZ, time enough at last. I think that may be a song. And don't even let me speak about the synchronicities, man. I mean, I'm used to the synchronicities popping up in my life, you know what I'm saying, a lot. But man, it's getting to be minute to minute. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's getting wild. It's getting very wild. But I love it. I think it's really cool. White unicorn with purple hair and a gold crown. Queen Tati says, I agree. I've been using this time to research, look inward, and do some shadow work. Yes. Best time for that is right now. I remember watching Bobby Hemmett years ago, and he'd always be like, you know, the time is coming where our powers are going to activate, and, you know, we're going to have these abilities come on, and this, that, and the third. And I always think to myself, man, that'd be so cool. But in reality, I'm not so sure what he means. But I don't know, man, the way things are looking, he might have meant that the way that he said it. You know, and I feel comfortable saying that because I know that a lot of you are feeling this way too. And I don't mean just like feel good feeling this way. I mean like you think something and then you see it pop up on your screen. You see somebody come to your vicinity and talk about the thing you were just thinking about. You know what I'm saying? Or you'll be thinking of a symbol and you look and there it is, right? It's ramping up. It really is. Twilight Zone for real, Narwa. Matthew Watson says, I really think Beetlejuice is going to have us going Super Saiyan. Why not? Why not? Bunny Queen says, you and your unicorns bleeding into my world. Yes, and the world of many, many others. Taking unicorns back, man. Marwa says, Burgess Meredith in the bank vault with all his books. Time enough at last to read. Yes. Stefan Raquel says, I take it seriously because every time I say something is going to happen, it happens, and I'm wondering why it happens. Yes, so pay attention to that and be careful with what you say, because this reality isn't just planned out and orchestrated and fated. It adjusts in real time. That's why it's very crucial to maintain your frame and be aware of what you're thinking and why you're thinking it right now. Because if you're not careful, you're going to manifest something that you may not be happy with. So always be in control of your thoughts, or at least, you know, try your best, your thoughts and your emotions, because thoughts create emotions. Emotions create mood. Mood creates your temperament. Your temperament creates your reality. Watch us all get that icebreaker unicorn ad tonight, right? It's getting serious, man. I was watching a porn and, you know, a big ass unicorn popped up out of nowhere. That's never happened to me before. Venom symbiote went viral. It was bootworms that looked like symbiote material. You saw it on my Facebook page, or are you just saying that randomly? Cause I clearly just posted that. Conquest Tony Phillips says, "Look at us big ass kids. This is digital recess. We playing with toys and shit and speaking our ideas to each other and sharing like we did when we were toddlers." Yes. Hekate Goddess. All right. Peace and have fun on your invocations. I hope things really come out for you well. Stefan Raquel says, "Try for president." Hell no. I'm the after class tutor, not no president. I don't want that job. Bunny Queen, interesting. Your voice just did something. I hope it was something pleasant. Narwa says Agent Smith virus. Yes. Enigmatic says the silence inspires hidden, animalistic, instinctual modes of communication. Been hugging more trees and grounding. Gratitude. Me too, right? What's her name? The Spirit Doula. She did a interview on Love Live Life's channel. And she said something very awesome about relating to psychic communication with the trees, right? As if them being kind of like receptor points in different areas. I don't know exactly how she said it, but what I got from it was pretty much she talked about the left hand, the right hand being receivers or transmitters or whatever. And you touch the tree and you kind of send your intention through the tree, through the roots to a tree nearby where the person you're trying to communicate with. And I thought that was freaking awesome. And I've been implementing that into my my work here lately. It's pretty damn cool. I thought that was awesome. The trees, they're like giant antennas, you know? But yeah, you can try that on your own and see how you have it since your psychic powers are coming on. Go touch a tree and send a thought to your grandma or your baby mama. Bunny Queen cracking the fuck up at the honesty. Might as well. I mean, y'all reading my damn thoughts. I ain't got nothing to hide. I was prepared for this. Gerald Sombright. Ah. You remember that? Or found it or something. I gotta know how to demonstrate the effects of weight on inertia. Damn, that was classic. Conquest Tony Phillips, what did Lil Uzi say about trees? I like that, Bunny Queen. She said, "We are the ones that are hidden beyond the stars, waiting for the right time to strike." As if Sun Tzu manifesting in the ones he knows are the true generals to bring in this new consciousness. Pretty much. Pretty much. Marwa says, "Touch water and make rain." Ooh. Blow smoke and make clouds. Okay, you taking it to the next level. Okay, okay. Conquest Phillips says, he said, "I looked at a tree. Like actually looked at it." Yeah, 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 that's awesome. Okay, well, I think I should wrap this up. This was really fun. This was really fun, really worth my time. I'm so glad I did this. Got the book knocked out, got to hang out with some of my favorite people. I am you, you are me, one entity. It's like a hand, we're all different fingers, we're all different body parts. But yeah, gotta wrap this up because otherwise I'll just be talking to you guys all night, looking at my unicorns. And I like to look at my unicorns in private because when no one's looking, they actually talk back. This is the big pill signing off, right? Okay. So Narwa says, watch the movie Colossal. I'll watch that, right? I've got nothing else to do tonight other than play video games. I mean, I should probably be working on this website, themagussociety.com. Please go there if you have not already. Themagussociety.com. It is free. Check it out. Let's see. Yeah, take care, everybody. Alex Cuckoo, you said you sent me a message in Instagram. I'll check that out. Stefan Raquel, look at my Instagram story. I forgot why I said why, but you remember. Love you too. Be more high. Greetings. Bunny Queen, hit me up on Xbox. Travis Magus, but I only play Apex Legends and Brawlhalla. I try not to stay on there too long because I got, physical things to do, like YouTube and teaching people how to summon demons. But yeah, Travis Magus on Xbox. Okay, so yeah, I appreciate you guys. I really do. I really do. I appreciate you guys. Because honestly, I wouldn't be summoned to do this if there was no purpose, if there weren't people to serve, right? If there wasn't a need for this, then I wouldn't be doing this at all. It'd be pointless. The universe does not waste energy. Amethyst, lapis lazuli. All right, you guys. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. And as always, peace.